I don't remember how I found this out, but I remember it must have been back in like 2022 when I heard of a movie starring Taron Egerton and Jason Bateman in a thriller Christmas scenario. I don't even know if I knew it was Christmas. I just knew it took place in an airport, and it was a thriller about Taron Egerton trying to stop Jason Bateman, who is a criminal. And I pressed watch. I had to watch this movie. I have been waiting for literal years. Ladies and gentlemen, the best Christmas movie of 2024. Not Christmas pageant, best Christmas, what? It's not best Christmas pageant ever. It's not Red One. And it's crazy enough, it's not Hot Frosty, I know. It's Carry On.
You think you can take control, huh? You're pathetic, and you're asleep.
I guess I woke up.
American Taron Egerton.
I hate to tell you this, but Google says you can't drink coffee.
That took some getting used to, but it's fine. It's really good. Wow. Carry On. I think what initially drew me to this movie is the similarities that I read in the plot description to some of my favorite thrillers, like a movie called Nonstop, which the director actually also made. He made a lot of Liam Neeson action thriller on a public transportation movie, and also one of my favorite thrillers of all time, might be my favorite thriller of all time, Phone Booth.
It's do or die time. 1,
Hold your fire!
2, 3.
And Phone Booth particularly has a very similar plot. In that film, Colin Farrell's character, who's kind of this slimy guy, is just so happens to be walking by this phone booth when it starts ringing, and then he picks up the phone, and then he's trapped in this phone booth by an unseen sniper around the New York City skyline, and there's nothing he can do about it but go along with what he's saying, and he has to like figure out a way to escape.
Someone's got his number.
Yep.
Don't even think about leaving that booth.
Wrong number, pal.
I have a .30 caliber bolt action 700 with a Hensoldt tactical scope.
You're bluffing.
There's only one way to find out.
And also what helps that movie is the assassin is played by the smoothest talking man I've ever heard in my life, Kiefer Sutherland. That man is just awesome. I think it's incredible, and I think it's what got me interested in this movie, which is about Taron Egerton, who works for TSA at an airport, who gets stuck on a phone call with an unseen assassin who is threatening to do bad things unless if Taron Egerton does what he says. So you can see where the similarities are. But I should also say it was very, very, very hard not to compare the two as the movie was going along, because like I said, Phone Booth is one of my favorite thrillers of all time. So seeing so many similarities within Carry On, it was hard not to be like, oh, I liked it better when Carry On, or when Phone Booth did this, but it was cool that Carry On did this differently, and so on and so forth. Like for me personally, the terror and the tension are way tighter in Phone Booth, but that's just because everything's happening in real time. It's Joel Schumacher flair. It's hard not to be really, really, really invested and on the edge of your seat the entire time, because Carry On kind of takes a different direction. In Phone Booth, you don't see the bad guy until like the very, very, very last scene. In Carry On, you don't see the protagonist before the antagonist. You see Jason Bateman pretty early. It's a very cool scene, and it sets up the entire movie, and it kind of gets you excited. Although it just kind of, it feels like it took the story route in lieu of tension, which still really works. I'm not saying one's better than the other. I'm just saying that's what happened. And that's kind of the whole movie. Instead of doing what they could have done, which is just this long form stretch of tension, further and further along, keeping Taron Egerton at the TSA. He can't leave the location and all that stuff. No, he goes all throughout the airport. He's in action sequences. He has to hide bodies. It's crazy. And I think what I really loved about Carry On is that it has more of a complex crime story versus something like Phone Booth, where it's just like, I hate you and that's why I'm doing this to you. It isn't simply a guy killing bad people in New York City. It is a criminal conspiracy that just so happens to be involved at this airport during Christmas. Yes, it's a Christmas movie, everybody. It counts. The cast in this film is absolutely stacked, and they're all putting on masterclass performances. We have Taron Egerton, who's also putting in a great physical performance as well. Sophia Carson, Theo Rossi, Logan Marshall Green, Danielle Deadweiler, our second Breaking Bad alum in this show, Dean Norris. What? And how can I ignore the absolute charisma magnet, Jason Bateman? He doesn't usually play the bad guy role. Sometimes he'll get a little bit aggressive, but he's not usually the antagonist so much as he's like the protagonist with flawed morals or whatever like that. I really liked Ozark. But in this movie, he just plays the straight, no nonsense bad guy. And it works. He's really awesome. This movie builds tension in such exciting and awesome ways. Again, comparing it to Phone Booth, the contrast between that is that Taron Egerton has this wide open space where he can tell anybody, like, hey, I need help, do this, do that. But they find ways to corner him into this position where he can't escape. And not only is he just like trapped in a phone booth, which anybody can do, he's got to keep doing his TSA job and act like nothing's wrong. It's really smart. And when the two characters finally lock eyes, Ethan Kopech, who's Taron Egerton's character, and the Traveler, awesome name, who's Jason Bateman's character, cinema!
Because they learn that there can be no lesson without consequences.
Somebody call a doctor!
And their relationship throughout the whole movie is really great. I love the ride that we're on. It's amazing. I also, and this is not what the movie was intended for. Maybe it was slightly was, but not really. Just kind of like a social commentary on how mistreated and poorly looked at airport staff is when most of the time they're just doing their job and there's nothing wrong to them. Like, they have to go through so much crap. Like it's so interesting that I even wrote my own sitcom sort of based around that idea when I was in college, just because I do think it's such a fascinating thing. Oh, am I supposed to plug my script? Yeah, the exposition is pretty obvious at times, but who cares? We're having a good time, and I'm loving the action. Also, there's a cop plot in this. It's not what I'm here for, but I'm enjoying it. It's a good time. It's adding to the crime conspiracy plot. It's very interesting. And it also has my favorite action scene in the movie, which takes place in this car. And it's scored by Last Christmas. Brilliance. Cinema! And the ending is cheesy, like all action Christmas movies can't resist being, but it's so perfect. It's just so great. Because Carry On is an awesome thriller and great for the Christmas season. I would definitely recommend Carry On, and I would also recommend other thrillers like The Commuter or Nonstop or Phone Booth. Anyways, thank you for watching, and bye. Nothing special about this ending. Leave me to my chambers. Fine, Christmas magic!
Cinema!